Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Facebook group Everything is Food and to Omega Life 21 Alive. As this is the official All Hallows Eve, All Souls Day, and Day of the Dead 2017 special show, and I am here with the one and only Louisiana's finest, Mr. Jay Theriot, of course, from Louisiana. And according to the title of the video, you kind of know who he is. Great to have you on my show, Jay.
Thank you. Yeah, it's actually pronounced Theriot, but that's okay.
In other words, remove the H. All right, Theriot. Okay, now I know. But I was close. I was closer than the last time. That's
right.
I want to say to everyone that this will be, despite my funny-looking wizard hat, because it is officially All Hallows Eve today, 2017. This will be an educational show, as well as a show containing a lot of natural humorous wit. I want to dedicate the show to freshly made hog head cheese. And I have some freshly made, very thick, maybe about over a ½ inch of country hog head cheese made by Piast Meats and Provisions, Passaic Street, Garfield, New Jersey, a Polish community that smokes their own sausages, kielbasa, slab bacon, you name it, they make it. Okay, and here is some. Try to get a little closer to the camera. I don't know how.
Yeah, I can see it. Looks like a lot. It would take me days and days, weeks to eat that. Now, this is what I have.
I know. I got more in the refrigerator. This is just. I have it on a slice of 12-grain bread from Aldi. So I like low carb eating, so I'm going to eat it like I had to do it this way. Otherwise, you folks won't be able to see the hog head cheese. All right, Jay, what do you have there?
I've got Manda.
Manda? That was one of the monsters on the Godzilla movie, I think, was Manda. It was a giant snake. Well, anyway,
the dragon that looked like a snake. But this is Manda, fine meats, hot hog head cheese. It's been in business since 1947, so this is their 70th anniversary. Manda Packing Company is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or Red Stick in English. Baton Rouge, Red Stick.
Baton Rouge, like Justin Wilson used to pronounce. Baton.
Yeah, Baton Rouge. And there's a reason why that it was named that, which, let's see something here. Since it's hollow, and this is good. This is the hot, if you want to call it hot. They claim it's hot. It's really not hot. But this is good old hog head cheese, and there's so many places down here that sell it.
And also andouille Louis. I'm sorry, andouille sausage is the I guess the most famous food product in southern Louisiana, right, along with crawfish etouffee and jambalaya.
Yeah, and St. John the Baptist, this town, Laplace, they claim is the andouille capital of the world, and a lot of people smoke their own andouille sausage and all of that. I'm going to go get, since I think it's appropriate that I go get a puppet.
Okay, I like puppets. You know, you can always blame the puppet if someone gets offended. But anyway, go get the puppet. Oh, man, this is going to be a great show. I got everything here, folks, as you can see. I'll wait for Jay. I'll wait for Jay.
Okay, this is Dr. Morgus Momus.
Dr. Momus.
I'm sorry, it's Dr. Morgus. His full name is, I'll get it in a minute, but he's a doctor in New Orleans, and he's a scientist.
Oh my God.
His assistant is an executioner named Chopsley.
He has a hairstyle like the guy on Ancient Aliens, Koupalos, Dupalos, whatever, one of those quantum physicists. His hair is the same way.
And Dr. Morgus, the Magnificent, he has been on television in New Orleans for over 50 years. And he does all kind of madcap experiments, like trying to capture mosquitoes to use to make a blood bank, but they always fail and end in some kind of disaster.
You know what seems to be popular today, with especially with cloning and utilizing stem cells, DNA, and everything, is now they're producing a kind of human pig and something else hybrid to create donor organs that will be more accepted by people who need a donated organ without taking the anti-rejection drug. I think it reminds me of The Island of Dr. Moreau with Marlon Brando. Remember that movie?
Yes, I do remember that. Oh, Momus Alexander Morgus. I knew it was Momus something. He claims he's descends from a scientist back to Egypt. He claims that he mastered calculus at 5 years old. His mother and father sent him to Vasco da Gama Medical School. He says he's got an IQ in the 300s.
Oh, sounds good to me. He should figure out why the United States economy is so messed up and its people. But anyway, if he has that high of an IQ.
And he's a member of a secret society of scientists known as the Higher Order. And
sounds good to me. A higher order. Well, it gets to the point. No pun intended.
And I'm drinking some Guinness Original, by the way, today.
Okay, I have here. Well, I could get the last bottle of Island IPA, but I don't want to get too plastered today. I have here. Let's see. I have Glen Silver's Special Reserve. Of course, everybody's product is Special Reserve. Glen Silver's Special Reserve blended Scotch whiskey. It is imported, and the reason why I have this is mainly because my sister bought it for me. But it is the most reasonably priced imported whiskey that I could find anywhere in the northeastern New Jersey area. The standard size bottle is between 10 and 13 US. So I don't know what my sister paid for this big one, but it's the best bang for the buck that I can find when it comes to imported whiskeys in general. Jay Theriault is an expert in bourbon, or won't.
No, I'm not an expert. I just have an interest in it. I'm far from an expert.
But
I'm not an expert in food either. I just eat food. But I'm no expert.
Well, I'm a wizard, so I'll make you an expert. Just for today. How's that sound?
Oh, right. Like when they used to tell Burger King, make me a burger, and he would turn them literally into a burger.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, if I had brought the Goose Island IPA and drank scotch, I don't know what the hell would come out of my mouth, so it's best that I leave it at Mr. Glen Silver.
Now, does that have a origin city on it, like where it's distilled?
Even though I'm a wizard, I need reading glasses. Hold on. I got my dollar store, my Dollar Tree reading glasses that happen to work. All right, here we go. No, it just says imported by Top Shelf Trading Corporation, Holbrook, New York. It's a cute name. Product of Scotland. Let's see. And the government warning. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. Imported, blended, 100% Scotch whiskey. Yeah. Let's see here. 40% alcohol by volume. Premium, trademark, distilled and blended in Scotland. Blended from the finest Highland malt Scotch whiskeys and matured for many years. I wish they told me how many years, but they don't. For many years in the finest oak casks. Well, oak is the wood of choice, it seems, with alcoholic beverages. Product of the Scotland. Yes, that's about it, really. It doesn't tell me.
Hold on, sorry.
I guess me or you can Google.
Sorry about that.
We can Google it someday and find out. Yeah.
I think that's probably one of those. You have this apparently, and I don't know this for a fact. More speculation. There's some huge distillery in Scotland that puts out an enormous amount of Scotch, blended Scotch, that is farmed out to different private labels. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, it's a common practice, you know, for beverages. And that sounds like that's what that is. But if it tastes good and it's a good price, then that's the most important factor, really.
Yeah, well, it's very smooth. I'm not a connoisseur on hard liquor, but it's a good tasting, smooth whiskey, and it is imported, and the price was great, and I love a great value.
Yeah.
And I got my tiki glass and with ice, and I like it. I mean, it's a great value. I mean, I like rum too. Don't get me wrong. I like dark, spiced rum. You know, like the Navy rum, really, like almost black. There's a company made by, it's called Cruzan from the Virgin Islands. They have a Navy rum. They have a super dark, it's almost like blackstrap molasses in appearance. And when you open the cap, you could smell it like from a distance. You know, that rich molasses aroma.
I don't think I've ever tried rum. But my daughter does like to drink it.
Well, rum is the liquor of choice for any fruity cocktail. You know, daiquiris and whatever, pina coladas are. But I do like frozen tropical fruit margaritas. I'm not a fan of tequila straight, but I do love frozen margaritas, and those soursop margaritas I had with my near dear friend, Natalia Rodriguez, at a local Mexican restaurant, but excellent, La Fortaleza, and they served it in, you know, in the Native American style clay and vessels or whatever. It was shaped like a vase. They used the clay for cups, which I happen to like. And they were good. It was soursop, to be exact. Soursop margaritas. Hey, that head cheese is really great. It's nothing like freshly made anything from, you know, traditional old world European style preparation processing.
Yeah, I'd like to try it as long as it's not the blood cheese. I don't go. I can't stand it.
No, it's not the blood cheese.
I remember you thought I was being rude about your photo, but I wasn't being rude. I just couldn't bear to look at it.
Yeah, I just wanted you to say, hey, look what I got here, Jay. Yeah, that's all. I mean, the blood hog head cheese would have been appropriate for today, but I don't want to freak you out. I don't want to disgust you. So I got plain old country, that's what they call it, country style hog head cheese.
Well, they eat that blood sausage here too, and they eat blood boudin sausage and all, but I just don't mess with it. Now, I'm drinking this Guinness beer from Diageo. That's the parent company, and I'm looking at all the rums they.
Oh, wow. Jay vanished into another dimension. Or was it a parallel universe? Uh-oh. I know strange things happened to me Saturday during progressive discussions, Halloween special, and now strange things are happening on this show, right on Halloween. Well, I hope Jay returns, my guest. I'm going to continue eating and this hog head cheese and sipping the scotch. Oh, I am sure Jay will be back. Maybe I should have more coffee. Hey, I thought you disappeared into another dimension or a parallel universe.
No, I just got knocked off the hangout.
Anyway, like you were saying, as you were saying.
I was saying that Diageo had 5 different brands of rum, and they're one of those companies that goes buying out everybody, you know.
Oh boy!
I mean, they bought out Guinness, they bought out Red Stripe, they bought out.
Well, you told me Anheuser-Busch bought out Goose Island beers.
Yeah, 2011. Well, Anheuser-Busch got bought out, so they're actually a company that it was bought out. So people say Anheuser-Busch, but it's really not Anheuser-Busch. It's InBev, International Beverages of Belgium and Brazil. InBev, International Beverages. So they're actually, Anheuser-Busch is not an American company. It's owned by a Dutch, Belgian, a Belgian, Brazilian conglomerate.
Oh my God. You know what? I'm big on having multitudes of small family-owned businesses. I like a saturation of Main Street instead of Wall Street. I don't think monopolies are a positive thing for the economy in general. You know, when there's more competition, customer service is much better. Products are lower in price. Products are better in quality too.
Well, I better not dip into that too much because that could wreck the hangout.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not. Listen, I really loathe the fat cats. You know,
although I'm not a neoconservative, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, the fat cats will do nothing. Let's put it this way: if somebody says to you and me, "Hey, guess what? I just got a promotion. I'm the director or executive director of blah blah blah." Hey, good for you. You got you now you can put that on your name badge, and then oh, I'm starting out with 75 grand a year. Oh, wonderful. First question out of my mouth: how many hours you got to put in? Are you on salary? Yes, of course. How many hours you have to put in? Well, divide that into the number of hours, and that will tell you if your 75 grand is really that wonderful. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, it's relative. It's like when I worked at UPS, unfortunately, years and years ago, because I'm too wise to work for UPS now, which was a hellhole, you know, full of negative people. But anyway, the executive director of my department, loss prevention, not loss prevention, well, something similar to that. It was it's a financial department involved in preventing loss. Let's put it that way. Mike says to me, he was from Pittsburgh. Mike says, You know, you see these guys that are in the Teamsters Union, they got much better benefits than me. I got to pay through the nose for my health care for me and my wife. I said, really? I says, yeah, but you're the director. You're the executive director. Why? Oh, they make me pay through the nose for everything out of pocket. So it's like, it's relative. I mean, okay, you're an executive director. Okay, well, you know, I mean, let's break it down. So the grass is not always greener in the other pasture, you know, beyond the hill. So that's what I'm saying, you know. But anyway, we both have good food here, and the decor is applicable. And we were. I was going to bring up a little baseball nostalgia. Sports nostalgia too, you know, in general. Now, to start it off, instead of going into like baseball or football, when basketball was invented, the hoop it was determined that the hoop is about 10 feet off the floor. Is that true?
I'm not sure about that. I know it was invented by that Canadian Naismith for when he was in Massachusetts, director of physical education in 1891. I know at first they used peach baskets, and they had to get people up there on a ladder to get the ball out, and then they decided to cut a hole in the bottom. Then they went to using a net. As far as the height, not quite sure.
Shaquille O'Neal would have totally destroyed probably hundreds of peach baskets.
Yeah. I was thinking about when I was washing dishes before we came on. I was thinking about baseball, and I was thinking about New York City, and it made me think about the New York Giants baseball team and how they played in Manhattan.
Yes.
At the Polo Grounds, which was built in 1896. It was like the oldest modern stadium. In other words, the oldest stadium that wasn't some old wooden structure that would burn down the first time they had a grease fire. And it had been a Polo Grounds, in fact, originally.
For the baseball Giants, and before they moved to San Francisco.
Right, but before it was a baseball field, it was actually literally used for polo, and it had a strange shape to it.
Yes.
And the Giants played there, and they weren't originally called the Giants, but they were one of the old National League teams, and then they had developed the name Giants, and they said they had built some housing projects near the stadium in the 50s, and they started having a problem with fans getting, you know, held up, robbed, whatever, cars broken into.
Well, that figures.
Coming out of the subway, getting help. So then the owner was complaining, we need a better stadium, and the city was trying to hardball them and say no, and then San Francisco came along and, of course, pulled them out there in 1958.
Well, the owners always try to get the taxpayers to fund the new state. That's common. That's nothing new. Happened to Baltimore Colts when before, you know, they moved to Indianapolis. It happens. It happened to the Chargers. I was told the owners, the Greek owners of the San Diego Chargers, they wanted the taxpayers to foot the bill for the stadium, and you know, it's common, but. By the way, the Polo Grounds is not to be confused with Ebbets Field, where the Brooklyn Trolley Dodgers played. You know, that was
in Brooklyn, and that was built in 1913.
Ebbets Field, okay.
And they said that stadium was a problem. I was reading about that. They said that stadium was a problem from the first, right when they opened it. The owner built it back before they had the taxpayer funded stuff, and he tried to be really cheap, skate about it, so that it was, they called it a bandbox. It's a very tiny stadium. Never thought about parking, so there was no parking, and it was sort of difficult to get to. And as Brooklyn changed, there were a lot of people that just were not going to drive in from Long Island or New Jersey to go there. The neighborhood started changing, and then the newer residents weren't particularly interested in going to the games. And so the stadium was very small by today's standards. And so, well, there's a lot of nostalgia associated with it. Oh, it was so quaint and wonderful, but really it was a problematic. And they only used it for what? Let's see, 57 minus 13, 44 years. It's really not that long.
Well, accessibility and ease of parking is extremely important for any consumer in any industry. Even a mom and pop store on Main Street, if customers can't easily park and safely and not, and forget it. But Brooklyn, it was originally called the Brooklyn Bridegrooms.
Yeah.
What a lame name. It sounds like a bunch of like pussy whip dudes with a ring in their nose. The Brooklyn Bridegrooms became the Brooklyn Trolley Dodgers. Then they dropped Trolley, and then the rest is history. But I just wanted to make a quick comment about basketball. The average basketball player in the early years was around 6'2". So everyone had to shoot the basket for the basket. Everyone, there was no slam dunking.
No.
So whether you want to call slam dunking by a 7'2" individual a skill, that's up to you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. But the owners, look, I don't blame a mayor of any American city for saying, "Hey, fund your own new stadium, man." I mean, it's sports is big business today. Of course, the agents, but then again, the owners are paying the salaries, but the agents of the players are getting their clients such high salaries that the tickets to go see a game are pretty steep, and of course the food there is also steep. Just the hot dogs and such, and beers. So I mean, what's better, to jam pack your stadium and make it affordable for families to go see games every weekend or such, or be greedy about it. I say do what supermarkets do: pack the stadiums in volume, so families can go perhaps all season, every week if they chose to.
They do still have. I'm going to kneel down for a minute. They do have some pretty good deals you can find with online. You can, for instance, the New York Yankees. I went there 2 years ago, and they had a deal. If you went to a game on Wednesday afternoon, any game of the year on a Wednesday, if you used a MasterCard, there was some kind of promotion they had in conjunction with MasterCard. You could get any ticket in the stadium for half price.
Gotta love online shopping. Between Amazon, whatever, eBay, Etsy, Google Shopping, I don't care. Now you can buy practically anything online with free shipping, and in this case, discounts on tickets.
Yeah, and you didn't have to buy the tickets online. It was just an announcement. You could walk up to the window and just say, "Okay, give me a $22 ticket," and it would only cost $11, and other teams have those promotions, and so it's not as bad as it seems, but they get the families in there, but they get them because of all the high-priced food and drinks, and then the children want to buy.
Right.
And so they buy all these Chinese imported gifts that cost about $1.50 to make, and they pay about $27 for the gift, for junk that the children will play with once and throw in the closet,
Yeah, well, they do the same thing that the WWE does. Vince McMahon Professional Wrestling. They have all these action figures and T-shirts, and they make a ton of money off of these promotional items. It's a far cry from the good old days when people played because they really had a passion for the sport. The oldest Major League Baseball team was the Cincinnati Red Stockings, which became the Reds. I think it was 1860s when it began. And when the sport began, they pitched underhanded like softball, and there were no gloves.
No.
What happened was the catchers got tired of their hands getting messed up, so they took a pair of heavy-duty leather work gloves, and that was the beginning. Gradually, it evolved into the baseball glove of today, and then they started pitching overhand and so on and so forth. Now the black. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, when they first started baseball, Major League Baseball, the batters could call their pitch.
What? Really?
Yeah, in other words, the batter would say, tell the umpire, I want a fastball. And he'd tell the pitcher, throw a fastball. I want to. In other words, they would call for the pitch.
Oh man,
Imagine that.
that's like a blackjack dealer. I mean, a blackjack player or a crap shooter in a casino, you know, calling for things to go his or her way. Now the Black Sox scandal was simply that they threw the series.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because of the mafia. Yeah. Well, talking about Polo Grounds again, I wanted to mention a few things. So the Giants left the Polo Grounds, the really old stadium, in 1958. So in '59, there was no sports at the Polo Grounds, to my knowledge. No sports there. Might have had high school football games. I don't know. But in 1960, a new team started to play at the Polo Grounds, which by that time was a very dilapidated stadium. But it was a new team called the New York Titans football team in the AFL, American Football League. The Titans played there in 1960, 61, 62, and 63. And then when they started a new major league team in New York City, the New York Mets, they played at the Polo Grounds in 62 and 63.
Right.
So that stadium was used all the way until 1963. And then the New York Titans changed their names to the Jets because because of the impending move to the new stadium built next to the airport. Get it? Jets next to the airport.
Right. Queens, New York, JFK and LaGuardia.
Yeah, it was right next to LaGuardia Field, Shea Stadium. So
yeah, I know. I used to hear the planes all the time watching the Mets.
now the Jets are across the state line over there, close to, I guess, Newark Airport.
No, they're giant. The Jets and the Giants share.
Yeah, same stadium.
It's called MetLife Stadium now.
Yeah, it's in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
I live like 10 to 15 minutes from that stadium. I live north. I'd say northwest, perhaps northwest, about 10 or 15 minutes from that stadium. It is on Route 3, which goes into the Lincoln Tunnel, which goes into Midtown Manhattan. Yeah, they share it, and they built a new stadium. It's not the original Giant Stadium. There you go again. I don't know what was wrong with the original, but they built another one, and they both share it. I think it'll be better for the New York fans if one of those football teams would play in New York somewhere. You know, perhaps at Citi Field, you know, where the Mets play, or yeah, Citi Field. I mean, just to like make things a little easier on the New York football fans. At least one of those teams should play in New York. I mean, then there'll be kind of a rivalry, you know. Oh, you're not really the New York Giants. You're the New Jersey Giants, and we're the real New York team, and blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like the New Jersey Devils hockey team moved to Newark, to the Prudential Stadium.
Yeah.
And now, public transportation-wise, it's very accessible, and I think that was the reason. Otherwise, they played in the indoor arena at the Meadowlands, where Giant Stadium is. That's where the New Jersey Devils hockey team played. Oh, by the way, get back to the New York Giants. When the New York Giants moved to San Francisco, Willie Mays was the had to go through a horrible death threats, I think racism, whatever, as compared to when he was in New York playing. So, which is sad, but they moved to San Francisco, and the rest is history. Now, I'm a big Baltimore Orioles fan because I grew up spending many summers on the Chesapeake Bay, where my aunt and uncle are from. They're from Baltimore, and I remember when the Orioles had Earl Weaver, and they used to. I guess they were at the time, or maybe in their history, the most winningest team. I mean, they were in the playoffs, the World Series quite often. You had Boog Powell, you had Brooks Robinson, Frank Robinson, who started with the Cincinnati Reds and retired as a Cincinnati Red. I could name the whole team back then during the 70s. Now, the Orioles are actually an older team than the New York Yankees, because it was the Baltimore Orioles that moved to New York and became, I believe, the New York Highlanders before they became the New York Yankees. So, but the Orioles were not like a major league team, but the name Baltimore Orioles existed.
Right, the original Baltimore Orioles, that team went bankrupt. And so some New York businessmen bought the franchise rights and brought in a lot of the players, and they started the Highlanders in 1903. And interestingly, they played at the Polo Grounds until 1923, when the New York Yankees built their own stadium. There was some kind of dispute over the rent. Well, they might have wanted them out the stadium anyway, because it's hard to have two teams in one stadium. So they went right across the river into South Bronx and built the first Yankee Stadium.
Oh, that lopsided Yankee Stadium that favored left-handed batters. Yeah, I remember that.
And then they had a team starting in 1901 called the the St. Louis Browns,
which reinstated the Baltimore Orioles into the major league.
Yeah, the Browns were always terrible. They were a bad team, and they didn't ever have anything. And so finally, they could see that St. Louis wasn't big enough to support two teams. And since Baltimore was sitting there with no team, they moved in 1954 and became the new Baltimore Orioles after 50 years of no team. And they've been very successful there.
Yeah. That was when the Orioles had the knuckleballer Hoyt Wilhelm.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, or the early Orioles. Well, St. Louis and Los Angeles, fan-wise, they never seem to be able to hold and support major, big sports, except for the Cardinals, of course, the baseball Cardinals. That's about it.
Yeah, everything else failed.
Yeah, I mean, I always wonder what the hell a Brown was. You got the Cleveland Browns. They look like a bunch of tomatoes running around the field. And there's nothing on their helmet. It's just like orange. I don't know. Put something on the side. Put a bulldog on the side of your helmet, or a pit bull terrier or something. Put something on the side. But anyway,
yeah, the Browns with an orange helmet. Yeah.
Yeah, tomatoes. Yeah, tomatoes. L.A. I know some will get offended, but L.A. has not been really, except for basketball, maybe the Lakers, which really shouldn't be called the Lakers, because they were the Minnesota Lakers, as in the land of 1,000 lakes, Minnesota. Right. I don't think there's any lakes in LA.
No, maybe a pond somewhere.
Maybe the La Brea tar pits with prehistoric skeletons sticking out, but no lakes. So, at least, I don't know, call themselves the LA Aztecs or something, which was a roller derby team, by the way. Back when I was a kid, I used to watch roller derby on Saturdays. Like professional wrestling on roller skates.
Yeah, I used to watch that as a little kid. I was thinking about New Jersey. I've been to New Jersey a bunch of times, and when I was going through, this is the way I go through New Jersey. if you want to hear this, you might not want to hear
No, I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
So like if I drive from Louisiana to New York City, that's not a short ride.
Oh, no. That's very tiring.
So I'll drive north to Birmingham. Then I'll go from there to Chattanooga. Go across Tennessee to Virginia. And then go from the bottom of Virginia to the very top into West Virginia. That's a long, by that time it's nighttime again. And stop somewhere in West Virginia or Maryland, maybe Northern Virginia. Now the next day I could drive into Maryland and on into Pennsylvania. Now when I get to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the capital, there's an old highway that runs east across Pennsylvania. It's called Highway 22. It runs all the way to New York City. But the new Interstate 78 has replaced that. You can actually ride on both if you want to, but 22 would not be advised since you'll stop at every red light. But
I bet you went through York, Pennsylvania, where there was the weightlifting Hall of Fame.
I don't remember that, but it goes across through Pennsylvania, and you go to Allentown, and then pretty soon, not after too long, then it's got a river you cross, and you can get off, and it doesn't. They say it's a toll bridge, but they actually don't charge anything. And then that's 78, and then you go into New Jersey, and it's very hilly.
Oh, that's the Delaware River.
Yeah, Delaware River. And then there's a bunch of fancy houses in the west by the hills, and one town after the other. You know what I mean? It just, then you can go along, stay on 78, just stay on it, stay on it, stay on it, stay on it, stay on it. You get to Newark.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And when you get to Newark, you can either choose to pay a toll, or you can get off on Old Highway Route 1 north, which is interesting because it goes through these little towns and you see a lot of old restaurants and whatever. And I did that many times, and they had some good Chinese restaurants and whatnot through there. And you drive along there for about an hour, and then you'll get to say, it'll say Holland Tunnel, or you can keep going north, and it'll say George Washington Bridge, and you can get on there in Jersey City. And then if you stop to get gas, these people come up to your car and want to pump gas, and you have to let them pump the gas.
Yeah, there's no self-service in New Jersey, but
it's one of those make work programs.
New Jersey is a very densely populated state. I don't know why they call, maybe it was originally the Garden State. I think California is a true Garden State. But, you know, I know Route 78 well. And, you know, Jay, Route 1 has an interesting history. Route 1 was the original Interstate 95 that goes from Maine to Key West, Florida.
That's right.
Route 1 goes north to south and was the original interstate for the East Coast.
That's right. And it's slow. And then you cross to George Washington Bridge and pay an extraordinarily high fee.
Oh my God, it went up. I think it's $15 now, Jay.
But yeah, when I drive from New York City to Philadelphia, I don't even get on 95. I just stay on 1 the whole way through New Jersey. It's really not that bad, honestly. And then when you get to Philadelphia, you can get on 95 and go through the city. But then they have tendency to have terrible traffic in Philadelphia on 95. You might be stuck on that interstate just sitting there.
Well, you went through Lancaster County before you got to New Jersey, I bet, where the Amish people live.
Yeah, but I didn't see any Amish. I was on the interstate. All I saw was cars flying by. But when I get to Philadelphia, I have driven through Philadelphia on Highway 1. But boy, that can be slow.
It is slow. That's why they built I-95.
But it can be slow too. But then you can take Highway 1 all the way down into Baltimore. And then you get into some really terrifying neighborhoods, but we won't get into that.
Camden, New Jersey, a suburb of Philadelphia, is a horrible, horrible, horrible neighborhood.
Yeah, I've never been there, but
Don't go. Oh man.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, no, don't go there. Well, they say North Philadelphia is no picnic in a park either, but anyway, yeah, we have some ghettos that I would personally send the U.S. Marshals and the National Guard into and clean out the barn. But that's only James P. Madonna talking. You know what I mean? Clean out the barn is I'll put it nicely. You know, just to keep the holiday spirit in the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, clean out the bar like they did in South Florida when the big time fat cat criminals were threatening judges, and they sent in the U.S. Marshals and they said, expedite the United States or else you're dead. They didn't mess around. You know, that's one thing I have to tip my hat to Republicans, even though I am progressive, is that they're tough on crime. They realize you cannot negotiate with terrorists and criminals. You cannot make nice with them. You have to play hardball. Sometimes in life, you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet. And that's all I'll say about that.
I know with Giuliani in New York City in '94, he kind of instituted sort of a Francisco Franco type approach, but then they said the crime rate really did drop a whole lot in New York City.
Well, Rudy Giuliani cleaned up 42nd Street and Times Square and made it like what Las Vegas did, made it a family-oriented environment for tourism, and the smut just relocated, but they left that popular Midtown Manhattan area.
Yeah, because Times Square used to be really bad.
Oh yeah, well, pollution used to be bad. You couldn't even see the New York City skyline at one time in the '70s. You know, I took my girlfriend Natalia on for the very first time. God bless you. For the very first time ever, and I've seen these commercials since I was a little kid. The Circle Line tours, which is a series of boat tours around Manhattan. And I went for the very first time. I never knew they were so close to Port Authority bus terminal. And we went and we had a great time. And the videos are on YouTube. And I just had no idea that they were so in walking distance to New York City's Midtown Port Authority bus terminal, West 42nd Street, right to the Hudson River. It was right there, Pier 83. And that's when I was introduced to the Goose Island IPA on the boat. And we went to the statue, near the Statue of Liberty. It was a lovely boat tour. And I also did a video with the Students for a Free Tibet. Had a huge demonstration to discuss that how Tibet was oppressed for 60 years since Mao Zedong. And you know, I got to tip my hat again and my glass to the Students for a Free Tibet and the Dalai Lama and the Himalayan mountains from mainland China's oppression. Anyway, I'm sorry to get dramatic.
That's okay. Believe me, I could go on and on about politics and world history things, and
this would forget it. When you banter,
that would make some friends and make some enemies. Put it to you like that.
I like the enemies because then I get to have the opportunity to get rough with them. I smack them around a little bit here and there on the internet, or if they want to come visit me, we can duke it out if they want. It's good for the circulation, a good street fight.
Yeah, most of my enemies won't duke it out.
No, you mean they have keyboard courage?
They won't go on air, and no, they don't talk it out unless it's behind my back.
Yeah.
Which to me is not necessarily a sign of bravery, but
Well, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I would like to make a statement in honor of Jay Theriot. Jay Theriot was trying to, at one time, and I will not mention names at all, Jay Theriot attempted to educate people in the subject of bourbon.
Oh, right, about Jack Daniels being a bourbon. Yeah, right.
American corn whiskey for you lay people out there. Not in the porno industry like lay is, big greenhorns. Okay, he was trying to educate people, and they didn't want to be educated. They were a bit egomaniacal, and they wanted to get the last word in and be right and not give Jay what is due Jay, which meant he brought up a very logical point about bourbon. And I hate to rub salt in the wound, but I will because it's Halloween. So you were definitely educating them, and they refused to absorb and digest your knowledge.
Yeah, and someone commented and said that I got schooled that day. I said no, I didn't get schooled because I knew what I was talking about, and that's just talk. That's just a hyperbole or whatever you call a recrimination or whatever. Because I absolutely knew what I was talking about, and their only counterpoint was I was basing my argument on legal documents, and their counterpoint was, well, people don't see it that way. I said, but that's not a legal definition. People don't see it that way. That's not a legal argument.
That's perception. Perception means nothing to me unless you can prove it.
So I don't think that was me getting schooled, people saying, well, we don't see it that way. It doesn't really matter. I could say, well, I don't, the police could say you were speeding, you were going 85 in a 70, and I could say, well, I don't see it that way. It wouldn't really matter. I'd still have to pay the fine.
Hey, look, you can get DWI and take a breathalyzer test, and you could say, well, I happen to be 6'6". I weigh 280 pounds. My breathalyzer shouldn't apply to me because I'm a big guy. I'm not gonna be my driving is not gonna be affected, and they're gonna say, sorry, the law states that your blood alcohol level can only be so high.
Right. So that bourbon thing was interesting. That was no big deal, but that was just an example of how, some people, I've had some bad experiences with social media, not in real life so much. In real life, I have friends and we talk, and it's like normal interaction. But in social media, I've run across some real bad actors, and who like to make problems. I don't know why. But.
Like the time I was on that show, actually. I forgot I was wearing my king's crown. I was wearing some goofy hat.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I think it was the king's crown. And I was there, and I witnessed it. And, you had said James P. Madonna, he's got a Facebook page, Progressive Discussions. This other man went on and on, digressing. Progressive. Rah, rah, rah. Hey, stay on topic, man. Stay on topic. Stick to the theme of the show. And at the time, Jay Theriot had a theme to his show.
Now, today's show, it's not a topic issue because today's show that we're on there's no particular real topic anyway. So
Halloween,
right?
It's no holds barred. Like a steel cage match in pro wrestling. It's like wherever, it's like hot air ballooning or helium ballooning, wherever the air current takes us.
Right. I'm not going to be able to stay on much longer. I need to get some things, I should say I want to get some things done. I'm going to try to go to Reserve, Louisiana at 5.
Okay.
Which would be 6 o'clock your time. So and tomorrow I have to go to work. So what do you have, a coffin? You have a bat? A skull?
Well, I don't know if people can see it, but there's a kind of a Nosferatu looking character.
Hold it down. Oh, yeah.
Yes. So I just wanted to show that I'll probably fill this with candy and give it to a child today. So This is it. This is it. There's something inside of it. The kid will probably get freaked out when he takes the candy from the coffin, but you know what? Tis the season. Okay. So anyway, yeah, there is a bat on the outside, and you know, it's even though it's an ad-lib, unthemed show. I think that whatever we discussed was on an educational level. Hey, Jay, if you bring up a subject and you prove me wrong, or you have knowledge in something that I don't have knowledge in, I will not buck heads with you. You know me, you know. But there are others that do it, and maybe it's insecurity. Obviously, it is, but it was a great. I thought it was a great holiday show for 2017.
I think so, yeah. I was thinking about starting a series, and I don't know if I will, because people tend to be very volatile and not able to discuss, in this current era we're in. And but I was gonna maybe do like I had done in the past, but make it a live show where people could say call in, so to speak. A call-in show where we talk about topics, say like Confederate monuments. That's a good firebrand topic, or
yes,
or maybe historical topics, World War II, or just anything, or a question and answer. Like people could ask me questions, because I have people that like to watch my channel. Like, ask me any question and I'll try to answer it. Any reasonable question, not troll-like questions, but you know what I mean. Like, why are you an idiot? Something like that. That wouldn't answer that. But
I think the great retired school teacher Jay Tyria should have a Facebook page where people can click like to it. You're too good for just having a group. You deserve a page.
Oh no. I have a few groups like Alcohol Eggs, and I have Rock and Roll Club, and that's enough for me. In Rock and Roll Club, guess what? We talk about, well, you got it, rock and roll. And Alcohol Eggs, we talk about, well, none other than alcoholic beverages.
What about nostalgic cars? Or maybe collectible comic books, perhaps.
Well, it just becomes too much of a hassle to run all that stuff. I like to post the pictures of the cars, and then we talk about them, and that's sort of like a group within itself. Right now I'm doing Buick, and then I'm going to do Ford, and I post a picture of a car. I always start at 1946, post-war, and go on till the modern era when people don't want to look at a car from 10 years ago, And then, so I'm going to do Buick now. I'm doing Buick now, and then I'll go to Ford, and then I'll finish up with Chevrolet, and that'll take a couple of years, I'm sure, to go through all of that.
Jay, this automobiles is a themed show in itself, and you know it.
Yeah.
And I want to say one thing about automobiles, and that's it. Back in the day, the great Nikola Tesla took a Pierce Arrow automobile and drove 90 miles an hour with a 100% electric automobile that he converted. And that's all I'm going to say. And I'm also going to say the electric car was invented in the 1920s. I like it. Let it blow. Let it blow.
That's the Kansas City Southern Railroad. Very rude. They're not even considering that I could be doing a hangout right now. They're just blowing their horn.
They don't know. But you know what? This is part of the unplanned ad-libbing. Let it flow. But it's true. Nikola Tesla, and they totally, like the movie Tucker, they totally blew him off the industry. Of course they did. We all know why. But that, like I said, automobiles is a theme show all unto itself, and you have a lot of irons in the fire. There are many things you can do, and I guess that's about all we should say now, because We don't want to spoil our viewers too much in one show.
Right. And one more thing I do occasionally, about once a month or less, is I'll do album reviews, rock and roll album reviews. Okay, but that's it. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Okay.
Yeah, no. You mean rock and roll like back when Elvis was a young man?
No, not necessarily. I mean, just anything from that period you're talking about up until today. Just pick an album. And I tried to review Fleetwood Mac albums, but they all got muted due to copyright problems. And I think that's a violation of the fair use.
Okay. I'm glad you brought this up, because I have a personal bone to pick with Google, YouTube over that subject. Do you know that, in my opinion, if I videotape an event, and during that event there's a performing artist like my friend Ken Create, and Ken Create is performing to DJ music, the DJ is advertising these songs, in my opinion, but not according to the new law. You know that they muted some of my hard work of videoing these events, and they also, this is even worse, Jay, they also muted my use of classical music, which is supposed to be public domain. But if nobody plays it, like if Itzhak Perlman plays Bach, you know that because Itzhak Perlman changes one fraction of that Bach song, or because he played it, I get a third-party warning from YouTube.
Oh my goodness!
But it's public domain. It could be, it's Mozart. It's Bach. It's, you know, come on, give me a break. It's supposed to be public.
No, I personally talked to people from Google, and I said, can I do album reviews and play selections of the album? They said, yes, of course, as long as you don't try to monetize it. I did it, still muted.
You're absolutely right. I took the monetization feature off, and they still sent me that third-party copyright warning where it says, well, you're not in trouble, but we just like you to know, blah, blah, blah. You know, but they have muted the audio, Jay, on many of my videos of live events.
Yeah, it's very irritating, yeah. Well, I better get going.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir, for taking part in my wonderful holiday show. After November 2nd, the next holiday is Thanksgiving. I'm sure the Native Americans won't be happy to celebrate that. Haha, yeah. Anyway, thank you, and you have I'll see you all over on Facebook.
Okay. Take care now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Y'all have a good day.
You too, from Louisiana.